German Chancellor Olaf Scholz had a phone conversation with Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin after the election of new President Donald Trump in the United States. This period leaves uncertainty over the new administration's stance on Russia's war against Ukraine. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, such communication risks opening a Pandora's box, as these negotiations primarily benefit the Kremlin.
This is exactly what Putin has long sought, to weaken his isolation and Russia's isolation by engaging in standard talks that lead nowhere. For decades, this approach allowed Russia to maintain its policies without making substantive changes, which ultimately resulted in this war.
Former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson echoed Zelensky's concerns, emphasizing that the only way to end the war is through swift and decisive support for Ukraine.
I am afraid Volodymyr Zelenskyy is completely right. We risk drifting back to the ghastly Franco-German Normandy format, which treated Russia and Ukraine as equally valid interlocutors in a domestic squabble. That is a shameful betrayal of the reality that Putin has launched a criminal and unjustifiable invasion while Ukraine is an entirely innocent party. Boris Johnson, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, on social network X.
According to Deutsche Welle, Scholz's conversation with Putin lasted approximately an hour. The German Chancellor condemned Russia's aggressive war and urged Putin to withdraw troops and end the conflict.
Olaf Scholz, in his conversation with Vladimir Putin on Friday, firmly condemned Russian airstrikes on Ukrainian civilian infrastructure. Furthermore, he warned Putin that deploying North Korean soldiers in combat against Ukraine would lead to severe escalation and expansion of the conflict. From the Deutsche Welle publication.
Just 2 days after the Scholz-Putin conversation, on the morning of November 17th, Russia launched 120 missiles and 90 drones at Ukrainian cities, targeting the country's energy infrastructure. Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs Dmytro Kuleba remarked that this attack is Putin's real response to anyone who engaged with him, highlighting the need to force Russia into a peace rather than appease it.
I believe Putin does not want peace at all, but that doesn't mean he doesn't want to sit with world leaders. Why? Because it helps break the political isolation that has been built since the start of the war, which benefits him.
The call between Scholz and Putin was a gift for Russian propagandists, who portrayed it as a proof that Western leaders are eager to reconnect with Putin. Russian media emphasized that Scholz himself requested the conversation, as reported by Der Spiegel.
What Putin proposed during the conversation amounted to Ukraine's capitulation. The Kremlin knows Scholz is unlikely to agree to such terms, but also sees Scholz as politically weakened, with upcoming snap elections potentially costing him his position as a chancellor. In Moscow, Scholz is viewed as a lame duck, a leader who no longer wields significant influence, from the Der Spiegel publication.
German media suggest that Scholz's actions are driven by domestic political considerations. Snap Bundestag elections are scheduled for February 23, 2025, and could result in a loss for the Social Democrats. In this context, a diplomatic success would benefit Scholz, analysts suggest. However, relying on Putin's goodwill for achieving a just peace is unrealistic. Reported by Bastun Katerina, Natalia Husak, Volodymyr Shtengelov, UATV News.